a world full of noise, Wasssl takes on a clear mission. Owning the narrative in tech and business in the MENAP region, beyond the borrowed Silicon Valley playbooks. So we are here to amplify local voices, challenge the status quo, and spotlight the builders solving real problems within our region that can't wait anymore. So welcome to this new season of Wasssl Podcast. This time we are meeting some of the Pakistan's boldest founders, builders, and business leaders who are shaping the future and changing the face of the MENA region. So what's this season really about? It's about understanding how these leaders navigate challenges, grow teams, win in local markets, and decide when and how to go regional and even global. Enjoy. Why are you doing what you're doing? Is there any I made it moment in Haball? Is there any moment like you feel like giving up? So in this episode of Wasssl Podcast, we had Omar bin Hassan with us, the CEO of Haball, one of the biggest round of funding in the Pakistani ecosystem this year and maybe in the history of $52 million to fund the transformation in Fintech for SMEs and businesses and supply chain in the Pakistani ecosystem and beyond. They started expanding in Saudi Arabia, and that's what we are exploring in our discussion today with him. And they have many other countries in the list. They started from Karachi, so enjoy the discussion. So Ahlan Omar. So I will talk to you in Arabic a little bit since you are now opening Saudi Arabia.
Don't put me on a spot in front of a camera. Just a little bit, like Quranic Arabic.
Okay, so let's start our podcast. And the first question that I'm asking every guest is like, why are you doing what you're doing? It can be on personal, professional level, mixed up, whatever.
Yeah.
What is the reason keep you waking up every morning?
Yeah, so it really starts with my own journey as a family. You know, we were part of state institutions. My father was in the army. And like any other child who's part of that ecosystem, there's always that sense that you need to contribute towards fixing your own country or state institutions. And I aspired to be in the civil service. Decided not to go there, but that sort of desire stayed within me, that whatever I had to do in my work where I make money should also fulfill some larger purpose. And I was very fortunate that right at the beginning of my career, I started doing a lot of large technology projects for the government, for the Chief Commissioner Office Islamabad, for Islamabad Police, for Pakistan Air Force. And then the biggest thing that happened for me was building the customs clearance system right in 2008 for Pakistan Customs. Now the entire trade moves through that system. And these kind of sort of validations and milestones feeds into a desire that whatever you want to do has to eventually be better for this country. So I think with Haball there is a lot of that.
So it's contribution that is like
absolutely
fueling you.
Absolutely, it the validation that comes with a chronic issue that this country faces, which is that the markets aren't efficient and they're not transparent. You know, for a perfect market you need perfect information, and we have a very opaque society for several reasons. And I think anything that Haball does, whether it's payments or financing or invoicing, as a result creates efficiency and transparency for the country. And that obviously has so many better consequences for us as an economy.
So you're telling me the why of Omar is the same why of Haball? It's like
no
a mirror?
Partially, yes. Yeah. But there are other aspects of it as well. I think when I started Haball back in 2017, and then several years before that, I was teaching philosophy. I was learning a lot of, fundamentals of Islam and history. And I think the aspect that really sort of appealed to me was that this, Muslim scholar who was a trader and who was able to fund through his waqf a lot of educational sort of institutions and jurisprudence and develop that school of thought. But at the same time, he was running some of the largest trade routes in 60 cities from Morocco to India and China, and that really sort of inspired me that there is this sort of binary of either you're a scholar or you're just a man of the world, but in our history, in our rich
It's not
history
the-
of 1400
of
years,
course.
there were people who were doing both. So yeah, that was also a part of why Haball, and the fact that it's Haball and it had to be something that was authentically coming out of the Quran. These are some of the things that eventually shaped you. But like I said, the moment it starts solidifying and you get validation, then you really start believing those things that, yes, you're on the right path. These are my motivations. And as a consequence, you sort of build your narrative around that there is transparency and efficiency for the economy, but then there is also this desire that we need to exhibit our way of doing things. We need to exhibit that.
And what makes something in your journey that maybe it was the triggering point or the thing that will change all the make you create Haball and or maybe go on another path?
Yeah, so there was one economic reason, and the other was really just understanding this opportunity. I'll talk about the economic reason first. I was working for this multinational in Dallas called Sabre, which is a large airline distribution and operations provider.
Okay.
And
In
where-
US.
it was headquartered in Dallas.
Okay.
I was working from home in Karachi, but every month I had to travel to Jakarta and Japan and Malaysia and Singapore.
Right.
And I was doing well. But the next step for me was to move to Singapore in a regional role.
Okay.
And I decided that I didn't want to leave my family. I didn't want to leave my country. That was not something that I aspired in life. And I felt that now my career at this organization would probably hit a ceiling, and I can't really grow over here because of that choice, because they wanted me to be in leadership roles and I couldn't do that.
Right.
And so that was one motivation where I thought, okay, let's figure out what I can do in Pakistan. And then I started testing some consulting work where I was doing some pro bono, sometimes paid consulting work, where the Federal Board of Revenue, our tax authority, sort of called me back in again, and they wanted to build Pakistan's digital payment system for tax payments. So when
Right.
you do a person to business payment or a business to government, a person to government payment or a business to government payment, they wanted to build that rail back in 2015-16.
Okay.
So some of the guys that I worked with on the customs project were senior enough to make that decision, and they hired me back, and I started building the payment system for the Federal Board of Revenue.
Okay.
And yeah, that was basically God teaching me how to build a payment system, because I had no experience prior to that. And once I was done with that, it's still, by the way, the largest payment system in the country. Probably 90% of all taxes that Pakistan collects are
Because
being
your
collected.
background is IT or not at all?
Technology.
Okay.
That's my bachelor's.
Okay.
And then finance was my master's.
So you mix fintech actually. This is
I didn't
your
think about that
background.
at that
Like,
point in
it's
time.
Finance and technology.
Yeah. At the time when I was getting that degree, I had no idea that they would eventually mix up. It was just a good thing to do at that time.
Right.
When you're doing your bachelor's and then you just add it up with a layer of a master's in finance, that was a very good combination. It was like the fashion at that time.
Right.
Didn't really realize that it would come in so handy that I would eventually be running a fintech.
Use them both.
Yeah.
And is there any I made it moment in Haball for the first maybe years? You feel like I got something.
See, there was first 2-3 years really no. There was a lot of looking at the abyss and nothing's coming back.
The desert.
Yeah, the
you call
desert,
it.
crossing the Sinai. There was a lot of that. I made it moment was probably post-COVID when we finished our state bank pilot on supply chain financing, and we just got a lot of positive validation from the market. Standard Chartered
So
became...
COVID helps?
COVID did help. Of course it did. For all of us, I think. it
All
applies to
technology-based
everyone.
and digital-based.
I mean, people who were evaluating us were going slow, but right after COVID, they felt it was a necessity. It was a supply chain risk that their operations weren't digital. So yeah, COVID definitely triggered the acceleration that we felt in selling our product. But I made it moment really began post-COVID. But in that period, in crossing the desert, I felt that the fact that I had already done it for the Federal Board of Revenue, that I'd built their tax collection system, I knew I
can do it.
I can do it. I've done it before.
All right.
So I can do it again. The only difference was that was the tax authorities and They could just order things to be done because that's the government. Over
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
you're not ordering things. You're trying to sell the value of a product, of why it's beneficial for you.
Of course.
So yeah, the
So
confidence
the
sort of
approach is different.
yeah, the approach is very different. You had to quantify the benefits of what you're trying to sell, whereas in government it was just the mandate. You just had to do it. So that was the learning curve the first 2-3 years where we figured out, okay, how do we sell this product? What's our pitch? What are we really solving? And experimenting with so many corporate conversations. Like one of our biggest customers was a large beverage company, and I remember that it took us like at least 42 meetings before we convinced them.
42
And,
meetings. That's
and,
a lot.
and when I finally signed them, very close to this office, I remember that in itself was a moment because that's a global brand sort of validating that we need this and it solves our problem. And then it was a series of we've made it moments where we've built so many fantastic products and we still do, and there's so much more in the oven that's about to come out soon. Then it just sort of started snowballing, alhamdulillah.
Right. And when after this experience of like running Haball, expanding in Pakistan, and so what is the state of art, let's say, of the current SMEs, supply chain, fintech ecosystem in Pakistan today? How you will evaluate it?
So
is it a baby? Is it maturing? Is it?
It's unavoidable for the sake of our economy, for the sake of our national security. It's unavoidable that we digitize our entire supply chains. We have a very low tax to GDP ratio. We have a very high cash in circulation. We have the lowest access to capital for SMEs in the region, and all of these are all of these factors are contributing towards a very opaque, a very foggy supply chain. And when the supply chain is foggy,
and it's a grey economy.
Yeah, it's a grey economy.
General.
It's almost 30 to 40%. Now, when it's a grey economy, that results in poor taxation. It also means that there's no access available for these guys when they want to tap into the banks. So I think what we were solving for really sort of sits at the center of it, that we used payments as a means of getting cash flow visibility. We started off as a large B2B payments company that works with large manufacturers, and the distributors and retailers that buy products from these large suppliers would use our payment system. And payment became a proxy for financial visibility, which would then turn into our financing product where we use the payment data for financing these transactions. So every time we digitize one node, one relationship between a distributor and a manufacturer, or a retailer and a distributor, whether it's moving their digital invoice, whether it's getting their payments collected on their behalf and then settling to them, and then using that data for financing them, it sort of creates an island of truth. And then you sort of expand from that. So it's absolutely the beginning, because let's break it down. Digital payments.
I feel like you're creating chains between
Yes.
the different value system and value.
Yes. Yeah, so like beverages, we would feel that we've fairly covered it well. Automobile, we've covered really well. FMCG, we're really good at it. Biscuits and sort of snacks. So there are these clusters where we're really good, and we've created these islands of transparency and truth. But like I said, it's not even 2% of what the opportunity is at this point in time. So there's a lot to do. And on financing, there's a IFC or Asian Development Bank report that says the financing opportunity is anywhere between $10 to $20 billion. And all of us together, the banks and Haball together, I don't think we're doing more than $200 million, maybe $250 million.
Crazy.
So there's just so much more to do. It's just the beginning.
So the opportunity is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the threats and the obstacles that you think are preventing from going maybe faster and do it?
Yeah, so the thing about B2B is that there isn't any sort of throw a lot of money at the problem and solve it. This isn't a problem that venture capital can sort of speed up, that you just pump in and you buy adoption. We can't buy adoption. Every sale is 10, 20 conversations to convince a customer who needs to be educated on his problems before you're able to make a sale to them, delivering that product into their ecosystem, because these are some of the largest companies in the world, and they have natural defenses, they have cybersecurity protocols and privacy protocols and liability structures. And that's why they make sure that they spend a lot of time on the legal formalities. And then operating them is also a journey, because one supplier would have maybe 400, 500 distributors. So converting all of them is obviously, but that's what we do. We're we have a team that delivers this product to these guys. There's a team that operates and makes sure that entire supply chain is converted on this platform across 150 cities in Pakistan. And then there's a team that is
150 cities.
150 cities. I mean, there are more cities, but these are the touch points that we've seen that Haball is being used in these cities.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's a sales team that has the ability to offer a pedigree value proposition, that these are some of the most sophisticated organizations in the country, and that they have their own language, and you need to speak in that language to make it meaningful for them. This isn't a fire sale that buy one get one free. They have to really sort of articulate the value proposition and the pricing and the legality of it. So it's a lot of labor when you're trying to put up a platform that is exclusively for the B2B supply chains.
So are we talking just about like very long sales funnel, like specified
3 to 6 months,
specifically existing in the emerging markets, let's say?
Yeah.
Or it's a lack of education, or it's a mix of all of these?
It's a mix of both, but listen, if this was the United States or the United Kingdom,
you will go faster?
The sales process would have been equally long.
Really?
Because let's say Procter & Gamble behaves the same way in Pakistan, the same way it behaves in Washington. And we're trying to sell to Procter & Gamble. So it's not going to be any different. They will still follow their protocols of making that decision, that they're moving all their payments and financing from a bank to a fintech. There's a lot of barriers that you have to cross for them to be able to trust you and make that decision. So I don't think it's going to be any faster in any other country. That this isn't a literacy problem, because the customer that you're trying to sell them are probably the most qualified people in this country. So it's not a literacy issue. It's really that it's the nature of the beast. Enterprise sales for large corporations, delivery and operation is a long process.
You didn't choose the easy path.
I never do. I always come from the mountains.
And in what ways Haball is different from what is existing in global models? I know that there's thousands, maybe hundreds of fintech that are operating on the same problem in the world. How Haball is different from these global models?
You can split Haball into 3 or 4 parts, and you would find those similarities in many geographies. The easiest one is electronic invoicing is a regulatory mandate. A lot of companies are doing it. Every country has 20, 30, 40 companies that are doing similar work. B2B payments, any country wouldn't have, as a fintech, maybe 1 or 2, not more than that. But that's also because some of the large banks are providing good solutions, and the market is sort of accustomed to that way of life. Is it as good as what we're trying to solve? No, it's not. But those markets have matured around that quality of service that the banks are providing. Let's say a JP Morgan or a Bank of America or a Citibank, whatever they're providing for collections or for payments is good enough for Unilever London. It's good for them. So, and then this is a regulated space as well. If we try to operate in England or in Morocco or in Russia, we'll have to get regulated by their central banks. On financing, there are lots of supply chain financing fintechs now that are springing up. But I think what makes us unique is sort of putting it all together, that we used payments and invoicing as an entrenchment or as a harvesting tool.
Leverage.
So that we can tell the banks that, look at our data, look at our models,
the money is coming.
And then finance these things. So that sort of unique arrangement, I think that sets us apart. I've yet to see someone who's putting all these 3 things together. I've seen invoicing and financing go together in Turkey, but all of these 3 things in one blend, where your entire order to cash, that if Unilever needs to sell to a distributor, he needs to send an invoice, he needs to get paid, and if he doesn't have the money or he needs to buy more, he needs to get financed. All these 3 things together in one platform, I haven't seen that yet.
So you're creating like kind of empowerment ecosystem for the business.
Yeah.
What is the smallest business you have? It's like only big companies and big corporate, or you have also like small and medium businesses?
As users, so the way we approach it is called top-down approach. We sell to, let's say, a Pepsi or a Coke, and then all their distributors become users for free. So it's actually the merchant, the corporate aggregator.
The big guys.
They're absorbing the cost of all of this.
Right.
For whatever Haball or the bank is offering them. These guys just benefit because their anchor has made that decision to get on board Haball's platform. So it's as small as anything. Really, like names of cities that we've never heard before, because after 20 you forget names. So it's as small as, someone that does 20 or 30 million rupees a year, and as big as a distributor that would be doing like 3 billion rupees a year.
Crazy. Yeah. And is there any moment like you feel like giving up?
No.
In the journey?
I don't think so. I mean, there are so many moments where you doubt your model of how can I refine it, or did I get the assumptions wrong? And in those moments you end up correcting yourself as well. But giving up, I don't think so. At no point did I have that conversation with myself, or let's say with my wife, and said, should I shut it down and
do something else?
Get a corporate job. That's what I should do. I never said that. I never thought about it. And I think one of the things that probably never made me think about it or even say it out loud was probably, I think my wife would be very disappointed with me if I do that. At that point, I mean, now we're out of that, but because when I started this, she basically said that get it to the best level that you can. Don't do an ordinary job. Do the best thing that you can, as good as any other company. And that obviously, puts a lot of pressure. But a good pressure, like a pressure that you really want to carry. It's a good objective that let's be the best at it. And I think slowly and gradually, the kind of customers we chose and the kind of tech that we built, the time we took, the kind of processes that we built around, sort of operational resilience, infrastructure, everything sort of was centered around that objective, that it has to be pedigree, it has to be very professional, it has to be self-regulated, it has to have a lot of discipline, spend more time if you don't want to spend more money, but just get it right.
And even when like the Sinai Desert traversée,
at that point,
like there's any doubts how you fix it, because like all entrepreneurs in emerging markets are suffering from these 2-3 first years that you're not making.
So we were funded for the first 2 years. The angel investors, my partners who really sort of started this in a hotel in Dubai, where we all gathered together, and they're like, I made a PowerPoint presentation. It's really ugly. It was like 4 slides, and I wrote it in a flight, and I said I wanted to talk about this, but I sort of verbalized what this was going to be.
Right.
And they didn't even look at it. They just said, we trust you. We've known you for long enough. We're doing this. Tell us when to wire the money. So the first 2 years, 0 revenues, they basically said, you're funded. So don't worry about money and paying the bills.
Just get it done.
Just get it done. Get across the line. The first sort of threat was perhaps when COVID happened and everything shut down and you couldn't even meet customers. And for those 3 or 4 months where we were all uncertainty and stuck at home, couldn't meet customers. At that point in time, I think one of the things that rescued us was the State Bank of Pakistan decided to give us what was back then $500,000. And
like
that was
grant
that was a grant. So we had money, but that sort of really added a layer where we started building the financing tool. We started building the payment rails.
More layers.
The product became more finished. We got an extended runway because now central bank was basically funding the development of an organization that was still in a development phase. We didn't commercially launch while in COVID. We launched post-COVID.
Right.
And that validation, when the central bank funds you, and that the deputy governor or the directors are coming and talking about it with the other banks that look what we've done with Haball and why don't you all get integrated with Haball. That's the message that they're giving the banks. I think that kind of reference was really lifted us up, so much so that that's where the next check came in, where there were investors who were talking to us and they're like, if State Bank has funded this, they've piloted it, haven't commercially launched it, but why don't we fund you for the commercial launch? And then it just never stopped, alhamdulillah. Since then, I would say that was perhaps the weakest moment, not to a point where I was like, let's quit, but at least that was where you felt that I don't know what's going to happen, because
a miracle
the vaccine
should happen.
wasn't there. The vaccine wasn't there. Everyone was frustrated. We were stuck in the house. Couldn't go to a mosque. Couldn't get out. Your neighbor passed by you, and you felt like you're going to get something. So in that uncertainty, you would start thinking about what's Plan B, what's Plan C. But like I said, because I knew that State Bank was around the corner, and they came through, and that really just powered us out of that situation, and the reference, the validation that we got was just amazing.
I would love to use your experience now that you went through all these to talk to maybe some founders who wants to build a fintech. Yeah. Can we build the MVP with $0, zero PKR, or no?
Depends on what you're building. I think with payments, you have to respect the gestation. These are very highly regulated spaces. And you can't deny, there is risk. We're moving people's money. It has to be done very responsibly. Just getting the bank to agree or a payment service provider to agree on your business model, on the commercial terms, the legality, all of that is really time consuming, and they have 1,000 other things to do. So if you're getting a meeting today, your next meeting will be probably after 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So keeping up with the momentum on each conversation, each bank, like in supply chain financing, it takes us almost a year.
So you mean it's the legal part is more complicated than the tech part of it?
The tech part is relatively easy. It's the business case development, the negotiation, the commercial contracting, and let's say you've done the tech part, but then operationalize it. Because you can sign these, I don't know if you remember, like 2-3 years ago, there was a signing ceremony every day. But then where are those solutions now? And one of the things that between me and my team, we said, we'll announce launches, we won't announce signing agreements. Because that's the easiest thing to do. But operationalizing something on a commercial scale, that's the hard part. And it is what it is. Like I said, there's nothing that you can do to make it fast. There aren't enough sort of plug and play platforms that a fintech could just hop on and start doing business. Like the best example that I have right now is OneLink. And even with OneLink, with all the facilitation that they can do, that you immediately get access to all the banking network, whether you want to pay your bills or do a fund transfer or card processing, all of that in itself takes a lot of time to test and integrate, and the legality and the commercialization. That still takes a lot of time. So I don't think there's a zero cost MVP. I'd be surprised. But hopefully, maybe as time progresses and other fintech players come in, or a lot of BaaS players are coming up, banking as a service, maybe these guys can enable that plug and play environment where a fintech could go live in, let's say, 6 months or a year. But anything faster than that, in the absence of BaaS providers or someone as benevolent or as neutral as OneLink, I think that takes a really long time, a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm. I'll get to a little flashback. You will actually tell us a little bit about this picture.
Yeah.
That is quite dark, but
it's a camera angle.
You can take it.
Yeah.
For like just a few seconds.
Yes. So there's something coming. Okay.
It's in French. Sorry.
A lot of pop-ups coming up. Yeah. So anyway. So that's December 2016. That's my father. He's a retired colonel in the army.
Right.
And
it's in the north, no?
It's in the north. That's Hunza.
Right.
We were heading towards the Baltit or Altit fort.
Right.
And this was the first time that he and I went alone in our entire life.
Okay.
It was just me and
It was
him.
time.
It was just me and him. My wife and my son were back home in Karachi. We were expecting our daughter, so she was there. And I think why this picture is important is because this is the point where, since I'm the only son, this is the point where we sort of decided that, Baba, you have to now rest.
Okay. Step
Because
back.
this he is a workaholic. He likes to solve everything.
Yeah.
And he does that not just for us, he does it for the people he worked for, he does it for his entire family. He will fix everything. I mean, just to make a joke about it,
Yeah, I would love to.
I asked my daughter, she was really young at that time, I said, she had this toy dog and the leg broke, and I said, don't worry, you know who will fix it for you. And I was expecting that she would say that Allah fixes everything, right? She would say that
Yeah.
Allah will fix everything for us.
No.
She said, Dada means grandfather. He is, that's our established sort of, my wife
The fixer.
will go to him to get a lot of things done that typically a husband would solve. So, a lot of things that need to be done, and he's always there to rescue. So this was a turning point. And I think there's a spiritual aspect of it, that when you take responsibility for more than yourself or just your family, that you're taking responsibility for, let's say, your parents, or you're taking responsibility for the team that you work with, because they have their families, their parents, their wives, their kids.
Right.
The larger family of Haball, not just, the 75 guys or the 80 guys that work over here, but their families as well. I think that's Allah sort of, I believe that Allah then makes sure that all of these people will get risk. They will all get it.
Of course.
Because now you're thinking about creating an ecosystem. First the company, their families, the users, the customers, the country that gets impacted by it, and that entire sort of belief that
It's a whole philosophy.
I will take
Life.
responsibility. It's my time to take responsibility. And I think it's really important, because that's the transition, 2016, 17 when we incorporated Haball and started building the office. 2018 we started hiring the first team. 2017 I had my daughter. I think all of those things really sort of contribute that,
Because you put the intention also.
because now you're responsible for a lot more. You're just not responsible for your own time or for your wife and your kid. You're responsible for this community that brought you here.
That is around you.
That's
exactly.
created you as well.
Exactly.
You can't do this
Exactly.
alone. He brought you in this world. He enabled you, and I've learned a lot from him as well. At a very young age, I was helping him with his office work. He would bring in his files. Back then, he didn't know how to use a computer, so I was the guy who would write a letter, send an invoice, make an Excel sheet, make a PowerPoint. He didn't know how to do this. This is like the mid and late 90s. So he's the guy who got me the first computer. I remember I was upset that all my friends had a Sega Mega Drive. That was a thing.
What's that?
Where Street Fighter and all of these things you could play.
Okay.
And I didn't get one, but he got me a 386 computer in 1992. And obviously, that was, in hindsight, that was better than a Sega Mega Drive, because
course.
on the computer you could do productivity, you could, internet wasn't there back then, but you could play games as well. So I think that really sort of shaped my ability to be in a professional setting at a very young age, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade till O levels, where I was helping him with his petty clerical work that he would bring back home, print this for me, send this fax, make this invoice, and I would be making those things.
Great. So you got the responsibility like passed on you
Yeah.
right now,
Alhamdulillah.
and what gives you like more drive now
Alhamdulillah.
to make Haball grow more. As a Pakistani startup, how and when did you think that it's the right time to expand out of Pakistan?
So, two factors. I don't think there is the right time. It's just that it's a situation. I think 2022 till 24, we all know Pakistan faced a very tough economic situation. It's probably as bad as 1971 and 72, probably was. And that was one trigger where some of the board members and myself, we all sort of got together, and we were hearing about Saudi, how it's booming, or Qatar, or other GCC countries springing up, or even Southeast
Right.
Asia. And we thought that how do we de-risk ourselves from the Pakistani short boom bust cycles?
Exactly.
Because that's not gonna change. We've learned to accept and embrace our asymmetry. There is a lot of volatility in this space that presents a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs and for businessmen. Uh, I have, over the last 7-8 years, I hope I have, trained myself to deal with those asymmetries, that things will not be linear. And
Like two speeds in one
yeah,
country.
yeah. So, some decision made in Islamabad or some decision made in outside Pakistan is impacting your business cycle. It's impacting your timelines, your time to market, your commercials. So all of those things, I think, really made us look outside as well. That we should, while we're centered in Pakistan, this is, like I said, it's just 2%. Why
Right.
would we look anywhere else?
Right.
But it has its own pace. It has its own dynamics.
That you cannot
We're ready.
shrink.
We're ready for it. We're dealing with it. We have the resources and the bandwidth to deal with all of that. But in parallel, we need to explore opportunities where the market is at a higher price point and the market is more stable. There's more political and economic stability, so you can predict where the market goes in the next 5 or 7 or 10 years. Whereas over here, we have growth and then things heat up and then it crashes. And cyclically, at least in my professional career, I've at least seen 6 or 7 of these now. So 7 crises in the last 18 years is a lot. And that's why you have to figure out how do you de-risk yourself. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is, of course, countries like Saudi, they're
It's happening.
it's
I mean,
happening.
we
It's
cannot
the new-
close our eyes
It's the
to
new
it.
Europe. It's where everyone's sort of coming in and trying to develop that market. They have a very small population, but it's a very large landmass. But which means that there will be a lot of investment coming into infrastructure, into supply chain development, and once that is happening, there is definitely a need of liquidity. And we all know that within the Saudi capital markets or the financial markets, there is a tightening around liquidity because the government has sort of absorbed all liquidity, which is a classical environment for supply chain financing interventions. And that's exactly what we're
So
exploring.
you come as the solution for this
Hopefully,
tight
inshallah.
market.
Hopefully, inshallah.
And what are the recipe to fund like such an expansion? I know it's cash is king
Yeah.
to fund an expansion or growth.
Yeah.
What are the recipe of
Well,
Haball?
Well, the short answer is yes, cash to fund the commercial scale. But you have to understand that we're not building something here. We have to maybe localize it to their regulatory environment or to the nuances of the Saudi, maybe the language. But it's not, we're not doing capital expenditure because we already did it in a tougher market. We've gone through 3 or 4 years of financing cycles, so the credit predictability and sort of aging into our system and our ability as an institution to respond to the highs and the lows is already there. That's institutional memory, that's intellectual property, that's tech and platform that already exists. So Saudi is really about the cash, and the funding is really for commercial operations. Finding the right partner who can help us access the market, finding the right team that can deliver the product, and then basically using the product that we already have. We've already built it. If it works for Procter & Gamble Pakistan, it works for Procter & Gamble Saudi. It's
definitely
the same process. It's the same tech. So
the localization will be like a 10% maybe on the product
10,
or something?
20%,
10-20%.
10, 20%. You see, AOFI, which is the Islamic Sharia standards, banking standards are all governed by standards from Basel to IFRS, how accounting is done, or the ISO standards, how payments are transmitted. All of these are now global standards. So whether you're in Pakistan or Morocco or Egypt or Berlin, it's all the same. There are nuances that are specific to that country, but the tech is essentially now the same.
Okay. Any surprises or challenges that you didn't expect when entering Saudi so far? I know that you are planning to enter other new market, but Saudi now you kind of know what's happening.
Yeah, so I think surprises, I mean, there are lots of positive surprises. Positive surprises is that you would expect that with a country that is resource rich, that certain problems wouldn't just exist, like the one that I mentioned, that they would have a liquidity problem could you relate that to the Saudi market, that they would have a liquidity problem? Maybe it's a temporary situation, but it exists right now.
It's real.
And it's gonna stay for as long as they are in the infrastructural development.
Right.
They're building new cities. They have these giga projects, so that's gonna stay. Right?
Pumping
Because
the money.
It's drawing out the liquidity that's needed for other segments.
Right.
So that obviously was a positive surprise. I'm not taking that as a negative surprise. The other positive surprise was that the supply chain financing opportunity specifically is very large over there, and the margins are also way better than Pakistan. It's a fairly well priced market compared to Pakistan, which is a very low priced market. So that again is a positive surprise. The only challenge that I felt so far, and again this is very early in our discovery or sort of planning phase, is that it is a market where having local presence, ingress, local representatives, Saudi skin really makes a difference. Just being a brand that worked in Pakistan or works in China and landing over there is probably not the right strategy or the first step. You have to be anchored in with people who are well entrenched and Saudi. Yeah. So that's something that is a surprise. In Pakistan, we've seen a lot of other companies come in without having a Pakistani. Yes, they have Pakistani employees, but maybe the ownership structure is entirely foreign and they still do so well. All of these big brands. But over there, I felt that at least in the fintech space, because fintechs are regulated, regulators need to know who these people are. They want to be able to trust you. The same rules apply in Pakistan as well, that we want to trust who's running our payment systems, who's running our banks. Right. So that obviously the barrier over there is fairly high, that you have to be able to produce a well-pegged Saudi skin or anchor or partner
team
who can really help you navigate and scale your product.
How did you do it?
We're still doing it, so we're still evaluating some of those options right now. So we haven't really done it.
It's still on the way.
In the next podcast, maybe we can talk about whether we did it successfully or not. But at this point in time, we're discovering that.
Right. What must founders consider maybe before expanding to the GCC market? You think, just before stepping in, what do you think they should maybe?
I think the home country absolutely has to be positive. You should have crossed the inflection point. You have tested in your home country,
right?
Our reason for looking in the other space was because we had the capability to do that, and yes, we crossed all of those milestones. But if you haven't found product market fit, if you haven't crossed your inflection point, if you're not sort of revenue positive, then it's probably dangerous that you're attempting this. Unless you're shutting down over here and you're exploring a new market, or you're pivoting into a new geography, then it's a separate sort of story. But I think if it is working out for you in one country, this multi-country strategy in like 2 or 3 years, I feel that's very risky. I know some people have done that successfully, but I don't think any Pakistani company has done that successfully yet. They're trying. But I think we still have to wait and see if that really works, that they're able to execute multi-country strategy even when their home country was not positive, or they didn't attain a certain critical mass.
There is Muawin, they are a fintech, and they have done a little bit of Indonesia expansion. But I don't know.
I'm not aware of that.
How good they are in the Pakistani market.
I'm not aware of that, yeah.
I'll just go now to the kind of a rapid fire to finish up.
Sure.
But before, maybe there is something that you want maybe to share regarding Haball and maybe we didn't talk about.
So I think where we are in our journey now, we've already done, we're in the process of scaling our invoicing and payments and financing. But I think in the new phase, what's really exciting for us is what we're doing with Wasssl, which is the central bank instant payment system. And we're honored to be...
I've seen you just be licensed on something.
Yeah, so we became the first PISP in the country. It's an in-principle approval. We have to demonstrate our pilot. The good news is that since we've already been in the payment space, so we're moving our existing traffic towards this to test it out and see its operational readiness. hopefully once we're done with the commercial checkpoint, central bank, then we can sort of scale this across the country. But this is very exciting because it is instant. And when I say instant, it is instant. Like someone's debited and the other guy gets the credit. Typically, previously we had 2 hours, 3 hours batches where settlements would be done. Same day, that was our USP that we gave it on the same day. But 3 times a day, that's what we were doing. That's still a better velocity than what we had 7 or 8 years ago, where it was T+1. So you would lose 1 day of potential treasury income. And so Rast is instant. And that makes a lot of difference for a lot of corporations because, I want to change the narrative around cash is king. I want to say liquidity is king. It doesn't matter if it's fiat paper currency or it's balanced in your digital
bank account
wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
So liquidity is king. You need money today in your bank account. It doesn't mean you need cash, physical cash. So that's one thing. The second thing is that since it's the central bank infrastructure, it's a public good, which means that issues like banks monopolizing pricing structure doesn't exist because central bank is the arbitrator and central bank has picked up the biggest cost, which is, arbitrating between banks, the debit and credit and the switching between two or 35 banks. Central bank has already paid for it. They've made it. It's ready. It's a public good. Thank you, Pakistan. And that's how we're going to run it. So that's the other exciting part. That means the pricing or the commercial interest is for the one who puts in the most labor in developing the retailer merchant or developing the corporate. That's the guy who needs to be rewarded commercially. Because he's the guy who's actually going to the retailer and putting a QR or putting a POS machine or going to the corporate and integrating their ERP so that you could collect for them. So that's the second good thing about it, that it's public good. So the bank's monopolizing issuance cost is perhaps in an area where central bank in trying to pursue public good, in trying to pursue financial inclusion, has a very benevolent view.
Right.
The third aspect is that the previous payment rail, and I'm going to get a bit technical over here, the previous payment rail was not designed for moving anything except the payment data. So who's paying who? Why is he being paid? What's the contract? What's the invoice? Is it partial payment or full payment? None of those contextual things or the image of the invoice, that wasn't moving with the payment rail because it was structured on an older format called 8538. Now this is ISO 2022, which is a new way of a new payment rail across the world. And the central bank has built it on that rail, which means that you can move a lot of contextual data with the payment. And in our space, in corporate payments and supply chain financing, we need contextual data. We need the other data points to come in because that helps us with tax compliance, with reconciliation, with credit scoring. All of those non-payment use cases can be leveraged using the payment rail. So we're very excited about that, and I think that would be the beginning of some fantastic use cases in Pakistan. And yeah, I mean this fiscal year, it's really about making sure that Rast is a commercial success. Not just for Haball, but for the entire ecosystem in Pakistan.
Yeah, I think it's like a revolution. Actually.
It's a magical moment for Pakistan, and we all need to work together towards it.
It's a blockchain backed?
No, it's
okay, because since like instant payments is more blockchain backed technology.
It's like what India has in UPI and Brazil has in Pix. So it's an instant payment system. It's not blockchain backed. I think those use cases will probably get started. Will start getting tested maybe in a year or so in Pakistan.
Can't wait.
As the regulation sort of eases around it.
How would you define in one word the future of the region? I'm talking about the MENA region, including Pakistan.
Well, I think it's definitely the new Europe now. If you are including Pakistan into it as well, we have a large geography. This is the center of civilization. Mankind began in this space. It's harvested great religions that have dominated the narrative across the world. There's no reason why the region does not need to lead the world, and it's for the lack of a better word, it's manifest destiny. We need to make sure that we're playing our part with someone's providing financial ecosystem, someone's working on community building, solving the fundamental problems of health and clean water and infrastructure
Education.
and political stability and sort of harmony within the region, that we all sort of are more united and not divided on multiple lines. So yeah, I think if we can figure out those fundamentals, there is a binding, cohesive force that we all have.
Right.
And it's obviously our faith that brings us all together. And yes, if we can figure out the glue of what created this region in the beginning, what helped us prosper for thousands of years as one cohesive body, even though there were parts and small sort of
Ups and
sultanates
downs.
and all of that, but generally the whole body survived and
Together.
was dominating the public sphere, dominating the global discourse. So yeah, that narrative, I think it's coming back. It's inevitable. It's destiny, and we all need to play our part. That this whole region, as a whole, is also connected. We all share the same value.
Of course.
We all
lot
all
of
bleed and cry
similarities.
over the same issues.
Exactly.
We all celebrate the same things, and that's something that keeps us all together. So I'm very hopeful that that there is this going to be this
Technology will gather us again.
technology or whatever means that humans can use to sort of bring themselves together.
Together. So which city you think has the most potential to be the next hub? Like Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Cairo, Karachi, Lahore?
Karachi.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Next to Abu Dhabi and Riyadh and Cairo, okay?
Yeah, Karachi. I was born in Karachi. I love the city.
It's not patriotism.
It's patriotism.
It's
I'm not going to hide it. I love the city. I think Karachi,
I have a problem with Karachi.
the resilience that Karachi has with all the problems that you're probably talking about, the resilience that the city has and the ability to power the entire country, that takes a lot of strength in your spine and your sort of mental toughness, that we're able to produce the financial rails for the country,
Still create
most of the
stuff.
taxes, despite all the potholes and the crime and the ailing infrastructure, health and education, water scarcity, all of those problems. If we can, and see, all of the problems are solvable, because in the recent past, all metropolitans have been able to solve it. With the right government mix, with the right sort of resources, all of these things are solvable. We have some of the smartest Pakistanis,
Yeah.
and specifically from Karachi, doing fantastic work in Houston, in Riyadh, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, all of these places. You see their tier, like group CFOs, large investment houses, running AI data centers.
I know that
from
Karachi, it's where it
from Karachi,
happens. Yeah,
from
yeah,
Karachi.
it's
So
where
I'm
it
very
happens.
proud of the fact that I am from Karachi, and that this is where I live. This is where Allah gave us Haball, and we started it, and
Hopefully
we're going to
this-
take it other cities and countries as well. But like I said, this is home, and inshallah, if we get our act right, it'll be better than
Better day will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Inshallah.
Because they told me like Karachi at first was a really nice city.
Yeah.
Like long bit time ago. If we give you like $1,000 today, where would you invest it?
I'll give a very conservative answer. I'll probably put like 50%, like some Islamic mutual fund for a safety net, and then 25% in equities, energy equities perhaps, and then the remaining in gold.
Gold.
In gold.
Right.
I wouldn't put it in real estate, and I wouldn't put it in Bitcoin.
Crypto, no,
Yeah,
neither.
no,
Okay. And final word of advice to entrepreneurs building in the region for the region.
I think you've said it. Build it in the region for the region. Start with solving local problems. Make sure that your platform is nuanced towards local issues and local opportunities. And then just show a lot of resilience. Patience is key over here. There is no quick win, especially in the financial sector. There is no quick win over here. Don't even try to get that. You'll break something in the process. You'll break yourself. You'll break your reputation. So resilience is key over here, a lot of patience. And the last part is, I think segmentation really helps. That pick a line.
Which means?
Pick a line, pick a sector, pick an area.
Quite specific.
Be specific. Start from a specific, aim small, miss small.
Use case.
Pick a small problem that you're going to solve and then work from there. Because you try to solve
Can zoom out.
too many big things, then obviously it's capital intensive, it's very risky. So perseverance, nuanced, should be local, it should be contextualized to local problems or regional problems. And then segmentation. Yeah, I think those some of the things in hindsight really worked out well for us. We were very clear about our segment. We were very patient, and of course we were solving a very specific Pakistani problem, that we have a very large opaque economy with a lot of cash, and obviously whatever we're offering is the exact opposite of it.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Umar, for the time, for sharing all these things. And happy to have you with us in this podcast. I hope that many entrepreneurs in the MENA region will see it, get inspired, and give them that push to create, to build, to have the resilience, and to also persevere till they got out of the water.
Thank you.